Good morning, class 10. Today we will be continuing with the chapter 2 of political science, that is federalism. So last topic that we studied was linguistic states, that how the states were built on the basis of language. And now we will study the language policy. A second test for Indian Federation is the language policy. Our constitution did not give the status of national language to any one language. Hindi was identified as the official language. It became the official language, but Hindi is the mother tongue of only about 40% of Indians. That is, 60% of Indians does not speak Hindi. Therefore, there were many safeguards to protect other languages. Besides Hindi, there are 21 other languages recognized as scheduled languages by the Constitution. So other than Hindi, there were other languages that were recognized by the Constitution. A candidate in an examination conducted by the central government positions may opt to take the examination in any of these languages. So in different states, the different type of exams occur. Central government positions open and the exams are taken according to that. So in the examination, they can opt for any language among the 21 other languages. States too have their own official languages. So every state has their official language. Much of the government work takes place in the official language of the concerned state. So the states are allowed to use their language, the language that the people speak most in their state, as the official language of the state. Unlike Sri Lanka, the leaders of our country adopted a very cautious attitude in spreading the use of Hindi. In Sri Lanka, what happened? That in 1956, the act was passed where Sinhala was taken as the official language of the whole country. According to the constitution, the use of English for official purposes was to stop in 1965. While in India, the Hindi was not taken as the official language, all the states can use their languages or their language as the official language of that particular state. According to the constitution, English for official purposes was to stop in 1965. That is, we can use English as the official language till 1965 only. However, many non-Hindi speaking states demanded that the English use of English continue. So there were many states like Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, Kerala that do not have any population that speaks Hindi. So non-Hindi speaking states demanded that the use of English should continue in their states. In Tamil Nadu, this movement took a violent form. Like in 1965, the English had to be cancelled as the official language. So in Tamil Nadu, this movement took a violent form. They wanted English to continue as the official language. The central government responded by agreeing to continue the use of English along with Hindi for official purposes. So the central government agreed that okay, now we will use English as well as Hindi as the official language for the official purposes. Many critics think that this solution favored the English-speaking elite. Many criticism came that this solution favored the English-speaking higher class. Promotion of Hindi continues to be the official policy of the government. Now what do the government of India wants? They want to promote the language Hindi. Promotion does not mean that the central government can impose Hindi on states where people speak a different language. Now, promotion of Hindi doesn't mean that the central government will start imposing Hindi on the states that do not even speak Hindi. The flexibility shown by Indian political leaders helped our country avoid the kind of situation that Sri Lanka finds itself in. The Sri Lanka was in the situation where they allowed only the Sinhala to be the official language. That's why the Tamil speakers were very angry and they started reacting violently. That's why the flexibility shown by the Indian political leaders helped our country to avoid this kind of scrimmage, this kind of fight in India that happened in Sri Lanka. Center-state relations. Restructuring the center-state relations is one more way in which federalism has been strengthened in practice. How the constitutional arrangements for sharing power work in reality depends to a large extent on how the ruling parties and leaders follow these arrangements. The provisions are written in constitution, but how do they follow, or how to a large extent how the reality is in the country? This depends on the ruling parties and the leaders, that they are following the arrangements according to the constitution or they are not following according to the constitution. For a long time, the same party ruled both the center and most of the states. What was the party that ruled over most of the center and most of the states? It was the Congress party. Congress was the most popular party after the independence. So Congress was ruling over the center as well as most of the states. This meant that the state governments did not exercise their right as autonomous federal units. Because it was the Congress party, so most of the state governments could not exercise their rights as independent federal units. As and when the ruling party at the state level was different, the parties that ruled at the center tried to undermine the power of the states. Now see, when the party differed in the states, like if BJP party came in the state, the central government tried to undermine, to reduce the power of the states. If there is a different party in the state, then the center will try to reduce the power of the state governments. In those days, the central government would often misuse the constitution to dismiss the state governments that were controlled by rival parties. So if in the power there is Congress in the center, and if in the state BJP is there, the Congress will try to dismiss the state government or remove the state government through the misuse of the constitution. This undermined the spirit of federalism. Now this reduced the spirit of federalism, because federalism, what does federalism mean? The power sharing between the center and the state, and the real or the federalism means that the power should be divided between the center and the state, and the center should not interfere in the state work and the state should not interfere in the center work. Now what is happening here, that the center is trying to dismiss the state government or reduce the power of the state governments. That is, they are interfering in the state work. So the spirit of federalism is reduced or undermined. All this changed significantly after 1990. This period saw the rise of regional political parties in many states of the country. Now the regional political parties started to begin. Before this, only the Congress and BJP and one or two more parties were there. But now the regional political parties, the local political parties also started in the country. This was also the beginning of the era of coalition governments at the center. Coalition governments are the governments that are made by joining two or more parties. That Congress is not able to get the majority of votes. It has only 40% of votes, while BJP also has 40% of votes. So Congress will try to take other parties to its side so that Congress can get 41% of the votes and make the party. So coalition government, I hope you understand. It happens when a party tries to make a group with other party so that they can come in the power together. Like Congress making a coalition with AAP party so that they can come in the power, come in the central power. This is coalition or the mixing of Congress and AAP party. They make the government together. Since no single party got a clear majority in the Lok Sabha, the major national parties had to enter into an alliance in a group with many parties, including several regional parties, to form a government at the center. See, what happens that the BJP and Congress both couldn't get the majority. So they had to take the favor of other parties. They have to ask the other parties to come in alliance with them, to come in a group with them so that they can form a government at the center. This led to a new culture of power sharing and respect for the autonomy of state governments. So in 1990, the coalition government started and a new culture also started of power sharing and respecting the autonomy of state governments, the independence of the state governments. This trend was supported by a major judgment of the Supreme Court that made it difficult for the central government to dismiss state governments. Now the Supreme Court. The court has the right to interpret the constitution. The Supreme Court also became very powerful and gave a major judgment that the central government cannot dismiss the state governments in an arbitrary manner. Whenever they want, they can't just dismiss the state governments. Thus, federal power sharing is more effective today than it was in the early years after the constitution came into force. When the constitution came into force, only the Congress party was very powerful. It was the party that was ruling center as well as the state governments. And if some other party like BJP or some other party came into power in other states, what do the Congress used to do, or what do the center used to do? It used to dismiss the state government of the rival parties, where the rival parties were in power. From the 1990, what happened? That the coalition governments came into force. There was no clear majority, so they had to make a group with other parties to come into power. And after that, Supreme Court also gave a judgment that the central government cannot dismiss the state governments whenever they want. So from that time onwards, the federalism in our country became more strong. Now the state governments are stronger than before. Now the last topic of the chapter is decentralization in India. So the new topic is decentralization in India. We noted above that federal governments have 2 or more tiers of governments. A federal country or a federal system is that where there are 2 or more tiers of government. We have so far discussed that 2 tiers of government in our country. In the previous topic, we studied that there are 2 tiers of government, state government and central government, and we studied about the union list, state list, or the concurrent list that was related to the 2 tiers of government, that is state and central. But a vast country like India cannot be run only through these 2 tiers. But as we know that India is such a vast country, so it cannot be run only through 2 tiers. States in India are as large as independent countries of Europe. In terms of population, Uttar Pradesh is bigger than Russia. Maharashtra is as big as Germany. Many of these states are internally very diverse. Not only that they are big, but they are also very diverse internally. Many communities, many different cultures are followed in Maharashtra only, and many other states. Many of these states are internally very diverse. In one state only there are Muslims also, Hindus also, Sikhs also. So there is thus a need for power sharing within these states. Federal power sharing in India needs another tier of government below that of the state government. So we need central government, we need state government, as well as we also need a third tier of government, that is the local government. This is the rationale for decentralization of power. This is why the power was decentralized. Thus resulted a third tier of government called local government. After the power was decentralized, a third tier of government was established. That is how it was decentralized, by establishing the third tier of government, that is local government. When power is taken away from central and state governments and given to local government, it is called decentralization. What is the meaning of the decentralization word? It means that the power is taken away from the central and state government. Some of the power is taken away from central and state governments and given to the local government. The basic idea behind decentralization is that there are a large number of problems and issues which are best settled at the local level. There are issues and problems that can be only solved through the local government or through only the local level. People have better knowledge of the problems in their localities. They know that what the problems are in their localities. They also have better ideas on where to spend money and how to manage things more efficiently. They know what is better in spending money, where to spend money to gain more efficiency. Besides, at the local level, it is possible for the people to directly participate in decision making. The people of that area are involved in decision making. That's why people are also satisfied in decision making. This helps to inculcate a habit of democratic participation. So we are inculcating the people of that area only, and we are making the people also participate in the decision making. Local government is the best way to realize one important principle of democracy, namely local self-government. So we are making the people take their own decisions. We are giving the power for them to self-govern themselves. The need for decentralization was recognized in our constitution. Since then, there have been several attempts to decentralize power to the level of villages and towns. So even the constitution recognized that there is a need in a vast country like India to decentralize the power. And from then onwards, decentralization has been promoted or tried. Panchayats in villages and municipalities in urban areas were set up in all the states. But these were directly under the control of state governments. The panchayats in villages and municipalities in urban area was there, but they were under the state governments. And we know that when something is under someone, so the state governments has the right to give the power and to take away the power whenever the state government want. But these were directly under the control of state governments. Election to these local governments were not held regularly. Local governments did not have any power or resource of their own. Like I told you, local government were dependent on the state governments. The state governments can give the power and take the power away. They can give the resources and take the resources away. Thus, there was very little decentralization in effective terms. So, we can say that decentralization was there, but it was very little effective. It was not efficient or effective. A major step towards decentralization was taken in 1992. The constitution was amended. It was changed, and a new thing was added to make the third tier of democracy more powerful and effective. Now, in the constitution only, the constitution makes it mandatory to hold regular elections to local government bodies. So like every 5 years, the central government is elected, the state governments are elected. Similarly, every other time or regular elections are held. Seats are reserved in the elected bodies and executive heads of these institutions for the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and other backward classes. So some seats are reserved for the backward classes and the tribes and caste. At least 1/3 of all positions are reserved for women. In the local government or the lowest level of government, the seats are reserved for women. An independent institution called the State Election Commission has been created in each state to conduct panchayat and municipal elections. So, an independent State Election Commission has been hired or appointed to conduct the free and independent panchayat municipal elections. The state governments are required to share some powers and revenue with local government bodies. So, it is mandatory for the state governments to share the resources. Before, it was the state governments, if they wanted to, they give the resources. If they didn't want, they will not give the resources. But now it is mandatory for the state governments that they have to share some powers and revenue with the local government bodies. Before, it was not mandatory. The nature of sharing varies from state and state. Some states give more power, more resources to the local government. Some states give less power and less resources to the state government. Rural local government is popularly known by the name Panchayati Raj. Each village or a group of villages in some states has a Gram Panchayat. This is a council consisting of several ward members, often called Panch, a president or Sarpanch. So this is how the local government is made. The local government is called Panchayati Raj, and each village or group of village has Gram Panchayat. Several ward members are there in the council, and the president is called Sarpanch, and the ward members are called Panch. They are directly elected by all the adult population living in that ward or village. So, in that ward or village, whatever the population is, all will give the vote, and according to that, they will be chosen. It is a decision-making body for the entire village. The panchayat works under the overall supervision of the Gram Sabha. All the voters in the village are its members. It has to meet at least twice or thrice in a year to approve the annual budget of the Gram Panchayat and to review the performance of the Gram Panchayat. So they meet continuously to see that how the work is going on and to approve the annual budgets for the people, for the work. The local government structure goes right up to the district level. A few Gram Panchayats are grouped together to form what is usually called a Panchayat Samiti or block or mandal. So the few Gram Panchayats are grouped, and this is what they are called, Panchayat Samiti or block or mandal. The members of this representative body are elected by all the Panchayat members in that area. All the panchayat samitis or mandals in a district together constitute the Jila Parishad or District Parishad. Most members of the Jila Parishad are elected. Members of the Lok Sabha and MLAs of that district and some other officials of other district level bodies are also its members. So most of the members of Jila Parishad are elected, but the other members like the MLAs and members of Lok Sabha also are included in the member list. Jila Parishad chairperson is the political head of the Jila Parishad. So of course the chairperson is the head of the Jila Parishad. Similarly, local government bodies exist for urban areas as well. We studied about the Gram Panchayat, the Panchayati Raj system of the village area. Now we will come to the urban areas. Municipalities are set up in towns. Big cities are constituted into municipal corporations. Both municipalities and municipal corporations are controlled by elected bodies consisting of people's representatives. So both municipalities and municipal corporations are controlled by the people that are elected by the people. Municipal chairperson is the political head of the municipality. So who runs the municipalities or the municipal corporation? The people that the area elects, the representative that the people elect. And the municipal chairperson is the head of the municipality. In a municipal corporation, such as officer is called the mayor. In a municipal corporation, such an officer, that is the chairperson, is called the mayor. This new system of local government is the largest experiment in democracy conducted anywhere in the world. There are now about 36 lakh elected representatives in the panchayats and municipalities, etc., all over the country. This number is bigger than the population of many countries in the world. Constitutional status for local government has helped to deepen democracy in our country. Now even the people of the local areas can get elected, can represent the people. And what is democracy all about? It's all about representing the people and getting elected by the people. It has also increased women's participation because 1/3 of the seats are reserved for the women in the local government and voice in a democracy. So now the women can raise their voice in the democracy. At the same time, there are many difficulties. While elections are held regularly and enthusiastically, Gram Sabhas are not held regularly. Gram Sabhas are the meetings that had to be held twice or thrice in a year, but they are not held regularly. Most state governments have not transferred significant powers to the local governments. They have given powers to the local governments, but not very important powers. Nor have they given adequate resources. Now they have given some powers, but not the resources that is needed to run the local government. We are thus still a long way from realizing the idea of self-government. So we are somewhere there. We are reaching to the self-government idea, but we are still very far away. We still have to give more powers, more resources to the local government to say that we are self-governing ourselves. So now here the chapter is concluded. In the next video, I will do the NCERT questions and I will conclude and summarize the chapter in that video.